Ensuring sustainable food for all is both a practical and a moral effort. Access to decent food is a cross-cutting issue through all the Sustainable Development Goals. It touches on justice, sovereignty, health, climate change, water, economy, faith, world peace, women's leadership, absolutely everything.
Change is going to occur from both sides. Mm-hmm. It's got to happen at the top, from a political perspective, and it's got to happen at the bottom. And maybe it'll be the bottom, whether it's through the ballot box or wherever, that will change the top. In the faith traditions, particularly in the local community, the First Nations.
Yes. We all make a choice every day of where we spend our money, where we spend our time, where we put our attention and intention. We all can always do something. Never forget that. Support each other. Extend a hand.
I realized that what Grove and Temple of Understanding have done in an interesting way is to bring together these three realms that are not often spoken about together, about food sovereignty and sustainability and women and women's leadership.
There must be end to commercialization of agricultural land, sale of land to multinational companies, the commercialization and privatization of basic services, lost local sustainable life systems, resulting in basic needs being denied to the masses. And as women defined their politics, they said, where the women and men have equal access to and collective control over natural and other resources with the purpose of equal distribution to meet the basic needs rather than for maximizing profits. All these are the demands what women want from the government that will come into power.
We're not going to achieve the SDGs unless women are part of it. At UNCTAD, what we tried to do is basically to address the effect of the economic inequalities out there, and the financial inequalities and the trade inequalities. With the SDGs, what we're trying to do is to look at the root cause of these inequalities.
I'm speaking from a global perspective, especially the farmers in India, Africa, and the developing countries. Especially the small and medium farmers. They are so much connected to the earth. They produce their own food. But in this capitalist patriarchy, in the name of food security, even the little land they have is being grabbed for the corporations.
The governments have abdicated their responsibility of providing safe drinking water. So you have, on the one hand, a multi-billion industry coming up of these, companies who offer you this water. Number two, another multi-billion industry which sells the purifiers because the water that is going to come from the taps is not pure. The rivers, they don't belong to anyone. They are common heritage of humankind. But what is happening is you are selling the rivers, and in our country that has been there, that privatized water, privatized rivers, everything, and so there has been a lot of protest. 97 million people, they lack access to safe drinking water in our country.
We want to make sure that investment policy is going to lead to, yes, increase in foreign direct investment, but just not any foreign direct investment. Foreign direct investment that will also lead to employment of the most marginalized people, of our indigenous people, of our women.
I actually believe that the global movement to help shift corporate capitalism and turn us towards a sustainable and just and peaceful future will be led by women of color. I've come to believe that women are, to our species, what is sometimes called in ecology a keystone species. And a keystone species is one species that if you take it out of production, if you take it out of valuing of the whole, then everything falls apart.
So we are at a time when it's being recognized that we can no longer afford to keep women at bay, to keep them from the resources that they need to be able to grow food, to be able to feed their families, to be able to feed their communities, to bring their knowledge and their leadership into the fore. And one of the questions then is, will we actually come up with the financial resources to make sure that happens, which includes making sure that women get education. Which means making sure that there's access to water and sanitation, because it turns out that the lack of basic toileting and sanitary provisions keeps more women out of school. Yes. So this disadvantage that girls and women suffer around the world, the entire population and the planet suffers from this. The problem is to ensure that those who are at risk of being left behind are actually brought to the table and that their voices are heard.
We are on a tipping point. Even in the United States, we see the impacts of climate change with these wild swings of drought followed by massive flooding.
I believe we are heading into a global food crisis, the proportions of which most people have no idea. Certainly climate has a lot to do with it, as well as soil depletion and lack of clean water.
We only want to try to save this planet because look at what we have done to it. And it hurts us. And all these civil society movements, they want to help us. Don't help us. Help yourselves. If you really become humane, you are not going to be allowing to continue to do all the extraction that's happening to us. We don't need advocacy. We need you to change your ways. We need the North to really be part of the totality. And the North is the one that's taking the resources.
I want a world where women and girls are safe and are accompanied by boys and men and fathers and sons in standing on behalf of a future that is healthy and diverse and just and peaceful and whole. And I want a world where mothers who have babies aren't born with 240 chemicals in their bodies. I want a world where we have food and water, not only for our human brothers and sisters, but for all of our living and sacred brothers and sisters who together get to inhabit this beautiful co-creation.